Hi, Dom.
Hey,
How are
Mike,
you?
what's up?
Not too much other than being busy, but that's a given. So, but yeah,
We are getting near Thanksgiving. Our duties are multiplied.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And my work schedule has multiplied too. But, but anyway, yeah, I had somebody complain about my lighting last week, and I am going to work on it. I do realize, yeah, the lighting is screwy, and but I
I
will.
mean, your lighting looks fine to me right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
I know
yeah.
both of ours has been highly variable.
Yeah, it has been, but mine especially, I've been moving this laptop all over the place, and my where I usually record is changed and everything. So in the past couple of weeks. But anyway, why don't we get right to the intro? I think it's apparent right over your shoulder what it is,
Exactly.
and
So,
I'm
so like, we're coming into the holiday season, and I remember last year we did all these holiday focused films like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
yeah,
and oh, I can't, Christmas Vacation. We did so many holiday themed, feel good, family oriented with one comedy horror thrown in.
yeah. Well, and I hope we do. I hope we do more too this year, a lot more.
But like I'm looking up what's a good Thanksgiving slash holiday movie, and You've Got Mail, the 1998 film You've Got Mail starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, kept coming up. Lisa, my wife, has been talking about how I don't do enough rom-coms.
Yeah, yeah,
She likes rom-coms. I've never seen this film, heard about it for years. It seems to be very well regarded.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's take the dive. This sounds perfect.
Right,
And
right.
so this week's film is You've Got Mail. It's basically these two people are emailing each other, and they're fostering a romance through email. The woman, Meg Ryan, owns a small independent bookstore in Upper East Side, New York.
Yeah,
This is a very New York City movie.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, Her mother started it. It's a heritage thing. It's very well regarded. She's very into books and children's books and literature. And there's a new store opening like around the block. It's a big box bookstore. It's called Fox Books, but it's
It's
basically Barnes and Nobles.
Barnes and Noble or Borders, and I've got a lot to say about both the bookstore thing and also the whole this basically was a romance that starts in a chat room.
Yep.
And as someone, I mean, I'm old, and I got my first real computer. I mean, I'm a nerd enough of a I used to play around with old IBMs, and I'd pick up an old computer and play with it and learn a few things about it. But I bought my first real computer, a packaged computer that I paid way too much for. Not even a name computer back then. It was a lot of the computers that you were buying were just like something you got,
Like a
it was
Radio Shack.
well, it was, yeah, it was something like that. It was something that, either it was a small name. I mean, people don't realize that are younger, don't realize that some of the name computers like Asus and, whether it's Toshiba or, like Dell got a big name for cheap computers, but Dell got a name when computers really started taking off. People started all of a sudden realizing, oh, I need a home computer, and they all get it. And of course, what do people do when they get computers? They look for ways of hooking up and things like that. And that took off. That really took off and my first computer would have been right. I know I had Windows 95 on it. So it was probably right in that era of 95. I mean, it might have been 95. And I discovered chat rooms. I mean, I have my own experiences there. None of them really that good. It's all people that are playing games. It's and that is exactly how these two actually initially meet.
Mhm.
Is I mean, they're trying to do it in a nice, polite way by saying, "Oh, well, they're having this email relationship, but it started in a chat room."
And
And
which does not mean anything. I
right,
mean, like we all know about like sexting and role playing. We
right,
all know about the seedy,
yeah,
dirty
yes,
part of it. But
yeah.
that's not the whole thing. They could
That's
have
not the
just
whole thing,
been
but for the movie though, they're trying to make it very sweet and
right.
nice. They've got this. They don't know much about each other. They've agreed not to give up too many details. They're just kind of it crosses a line, and I really I'd like this was your pick, so I really before I go in and start going off, I'd like to know just where your head's at on this. But
Okay, so as I said in the short, like you know, I wanted like a nice feel-good holiday movie. A rom-com is traditionally, feel good.
yeah,
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, how much more wholesome do you
yeah.
get?
Well, this is a fairly well-loved movie, which I'm a little surprised at. But
But
yeah,
this does not, it did not age well.
no, I don't think it did. I'm not sure it was. I'm not sure it was well to begin with. I almost think the patient was a little ill even back then.
Like I wanna like describe this movie as it was a different time.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's so much about this movie that, you know, what would it be? 25, 26 odd years ago,
yeah,
I could
yeah,
see people letting slide.
yeah,
Nowadays, okay, I'm just going to tell you, I'm watching this movie and I'm watching it going like, oh my God. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. Well, and, you know the thing of it is about this, I had the same reaction. Last week when we talked about this, you said, well, you had never seen it. I said, I think I have, and I had not. I quickly realized, well, that this little cookie cutter genre of rom-com, and particularly the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks kind of. I haven't seen Sleepless in Seattle. We'll have to
I haven't
tackle that
either.
one eventually too. But no, this one here, this particular one, I just thought I had seen it, and I quickly realized it started like taking me down nostalgia alley because this was from an era that I knew well.
Yep.
Like I said, I had my own experiences, online, and everybody when you first got your computer, or at least the real amateurs, the newbies like me, I didn't really know that much about computers, and I got on AOL just like everybody else. I thought I was online. You're not. You're in your own little AOL world, and that's one of the things people that are from a younger generation or that didn't experience that. Let me just say it was a way of getting you online, and everything's dial up. You got to use a dial up modem. It's real slow. To download one picture to took 15 minutes. I mean, it was crazy what the dial up speeds were. But like I said, everything was just slow, slow, slow. And you're on this primitive connection. You click the AOL icon, which is installed off a CD-ROM, and it puts you into this little network of AOL's world. And as far as what you're doing, you quickly realize like I'm not really online. I thought I was, but I'm not. And
Well, I mean, you're kind of online.
yeah, you're kind of, but you're in their
Kind of.
cloistered. Yeah, you're in their cloistered world. And I quickly, after I started talking with a few people, I started realizing, oh, there's better ways to connect. So I quickly found other ways and I got out of that. But that was the way, and that's how these two or everything they're doing. They do the dial up into AOL and they start doing email. You've got mail, which was AOL's thing. But I did not like so much about this movie. And
This movie was it was just frightening. Like I get that people love it. It
yeah,
was of a time I'm sure a lot of people did not see the flaws, but oh my God, this movie horrified me.
yeah. It's weird because first of all, it does have an all-star cast. I mean, a young Dave Chappelle is in this.
I
Um,
know.
and he's nowhere near as funny as he later turned out to be.
Well,
He's
I mean,
the
he's a side character.
yes. Oh, very much so. Um, very much so. Gene Stapleton's in it. I mean,
Gene
Edith of
Stapleton, a young Parker Posey.
yep, and Buffalo Bill. He's in it.
Oh,
Uh,
Steve Zahn,
no, not Steve Zahn. Buffalo Bill is
Dabney
oh
Coleman.
yeah, Dabney Coleman, the father. Yes, he was in, there was a movie or TV show called Buffalo Bill. He was in Modern Problems. He's been in so he always
As,
plays a bad guy, and he's a bad
as
guy in
soon
this.
as you say Buffalo Bill, my mind goes to Silence of the Lambs.
No, 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 no,
I'm like,
no. That's
what?
yeah, no. But he did play. He played a bad guy so well. He was mostly playing bad guys,
Oh, he was
and
great.
once again in this one he plays a sort of bad guy, like kind of a bad guy from
Still another side character, though.
yeah, yep, and then who's the grandfather? Um,
Oh, John Randolph.
yes, and I mean great name. There were
Love the guy.
so many names in this. It should be a wonderful movie. It really
Yes.
should be. And they do go through holidays. Now on behind you, of course, is his family's box books. And behind me is her bookstore and the charming little kind of like old world kind of or older world traditional bookstore. Um, and I don't have a problem with either one of these. I do think it was a little shitty that they were opening up across the street from another bookstore.
I mean,
But
granted, that's just business.
it is.
If
It
it
is
were just
business.
business, and if it was one random independent store versus one random big box store and one
Yeah.
put together a business, that's America. It happens. It's business.
Yeah.
But when
Well,
these two are trying to set up a romance,
right. Well, where it turns south for me, and I think for you, it's funny because when I was I wrote up a little thing, and I'm just now I'm kind of winging it, but I because when I realized like oh no, I'm probably going to be fighting him on this one, and I always hate to be like too critical of your movies,
oh
but
no, be critical.
but at the same time, it's like I thought to myself, man, I'm going to end up being the bad guy, and I'm still probably going to be. I mean, both of us probably going to credit because there's people that love this movie, and
You love this
so
movie, you love it. It
yeah,
horrified me.
it. I have to say, I think probably. I mean, I can understand like some people being like really into this movie in the sense of, in the sense of it is a rom-com. There's some cute stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, for me, it's it's too horrifying in so many ways.
So, so
It's
I feel like we're dancing around the issue. Can I just get to
yeah,
at least what I considered the very worst thing about this movie?
yeah, yeah.
So Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan's characters have been emailing each other. They met in a chat room. They developed an email correspondence, and they're falling in love, sight unseen,
They
just
think they think they
in
are Dom. They think they are.
in the content of their emails.
Yeah,
And yet, when they actually meet in real life, not knowing that this is who they've been emailing with, not knowing that this is the other person's handle, they hate each other
yeah,
because number one, he's basically putting her out of business, and she sees herself as having a true love of books, whereas she sees him not unrealistically as being primarily a businessman, regardless of a love of
Right.
literature or not. It's just a product to him.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so at some point, he finds out that she's the one he's been emailing,
yeah.
and he does not disclose this.
No.
And so he continues emailing her under a different guise, as if it's not him, hiding his true identity, basically catfishing her.
Right. He is, and and on the one hand, you could say he's doing it because he knows she doesn't. He's. I mean, they're both. Let's face it. They're both when they meet in real life, and just backstepping 1 second. The thing about like when you were just saying about like they're sort of falling in love, and no, they're not. I one thing I kind of I think you can develop a romantic relationship very well through a pen pal, email, online correspondence. You can develop an infatuation, an interest. You can't really fall in love, and people may differ from what my opinion is on this, but I have been in situations enough. I've been in chat rooms. I've been in email relationships um, where I met somebody online and it isn't real. It's because someone's presenting to you a picture of themselves, like it or not, you're going to put your best foot forward. I mean, you do anyway when you meet somebody, but but you definitely do. The flaws can be seen when somebody's right there in the room, but when they're not, it's only what the person's presenting. And if they present well, then you're going to think of them in a very good light. And so it's only which is why she has no idea who this guy is. And the guy when she realizes who the guy is, she really hates him. And so because of her preconceived idea of who this guy is, and he kind of has a mix, and it's one of my big problems with who this guy is. He's kind of a mix of both his online one, which is kind of like reality, how people are, but who he's presenting and who he is actually the real life version is a mixture of both. And he's kind of sadistic. And it was the best line at the end of the movie that probably got woman tearing up and like, oh my God, this is so romantic. I thought was the sickest line in the entire movie. And I'm gonna give it to you right now before I go on too long. He she is when she's realizing, okay, well, she's really in love with the guy. This is who the guy is, and he really keeps it to the very end. And that's the other thing. She was dense. I mean, he gave her so many clues. And but he says to her, "Don't cry, shop girl," when she's crying. And I thought that was the sickest line. And I'll tell you why I thought it was sick. He put her out of business. He doesn't make any bones about the fact that he put her out of
No,
business. And
no.
calling her shop girl, that would be the one line that I would think would make her want to like take a mallet to his head. And I just like I cringed when I heard him say, "Don't cry, shop girl." It was to me he seemed like a serial killer when he said that. I was like, "Fuck." But I don't know.
Yeah,
What was
I mean, this movie, it was uncomfortable for me to watch
yeah, yeah,
because he has full knowledge of who she is,
yeah. It's
and
creepy.
he's doing all these other things.
Dude, he's creepy. He's creepy.
He's so creepy.
Another scene that's really creepy, and I was I it started out cute. It started out like the cute rom-com scene. Although I thought Meg Ryan was really overplaying because sometimes she can be just bad overplaying uh scenes, and with the scene where she's supposed to be sick and he comes to visit her with flowers. That like I was looking at that scene and I thought to myself, what is she like? What did she take for medicine because she seemed high as a kite. She's right out of her skull, like that's actually the last scene of the movie. Um, but no, she doesn't get anything that he's saying. He's giving her tons of hints and everything, and she heads into her bedroom, climbs into bed, and of course he's got full knowledge of who and what their relationship is, and she's already lost her business at this point, and he sits on the bed on the edge of the bed, and I like I said, it just he they had all these close-ups of him, and he looked so stalkerish. I mean, absolutely stalkerish, and there, like I said, that I found that scene to be probably the creepiest scene in the entire movie, and just everything he was saying, the way he's looking at her, it was like, man, this guy is like he could be a serial killer.
No,
Uh,
no, total agreement. Like when I chose this movie, I was fully upfront, but I had never seen it before. I
yeah,
chose this solely based on its reputation.
yeah,
And so when I'm watching this, I'm like horrified.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'd love to hear. I would really love to hear people's comments about this, like, what did you actually think? Because I don't know.
It's funny. I read some of the reviews on the website IMDb
Yeah,
because I'm like, I cannot be the only person in the world that has noticed this.
yeah, yeah,
And sure enough, like there are tons of 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 ratings. This is a great movie. It's almost perfect, blah, 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 so romantic. But there is definitely a sprinkling of 1 out of 10. This is the creepiest freaking movie ever.
yeah. I didn't read any reviews. I'm going on my own stark opinion, and there's so many things, and like I said, I'm definitely coming at this from a an older opinion too, because I lived through that era. I mean, I experienced it. I participated in it. And as far like and even the stuff with the just the way the whole bookstore thing went. The irony of all this too. Like he seemed like the business threat of being this huge store. You think about it at the time. There was Borders. There was the still struggling Barnes and Noble, and I've got nothing against any of those stores. I love I love an old bookstore. I don't collect books. I tend to have bought into the more modern thing of I read on an iPad Mini, or my bigger iPad. But as far as books, I get it. I have a real love for what a book is. If I was maybe a rich guy and had a room that had a giant library in it, maybe I'd be really appreciating books a lot more. But it's so expensive, and you need so much room to collect books, and I collect it too much as it is. But as far as books go, like I said, I have a true love for books. I love the most fun thing in the world can be browsing in a bookstore,
Hmm.
and a bookstore like hers, or even an older type, the shop around the corner. Those little book stores that you find in Soho, or someplace that's like in a little in a little area, going to a small town
Yeah,
maybe, and
heck,
there's
I just like looking through libraries.
yes. Oh,
The
yeah.
same thing.
Libraries. Yeah. And people don't even appreciate libraries like they used to. But the irony of all of this, and talking about online and online relationships, and just the internet period, what became the real threat? It wasn't him. It wasn't Borders went out of business. No, Barnes and Noble struggling along. Anything that's like selling books in stores is struggling because of Jeff Bezos and Amazon.com. Those are the that's and I shop on Amazon all the time. I buy books. I buy whether I'm going to Barnes and Noble and buying, the Kindle or Nook or whatever I'm buying. I'm buying mostly online. Every once in I usually buy books for people. I'll buy a hardcover and I'll give it to somebody as a gift. But for myself, I tend to buy the e version. But that was the real threat, not. But listen, Tom Hanks is the threat in this also. He is so creepy, and anybody who, if you have seen this movie and you remember it, I don't want to destroy what your opinion is maybe of the movie. If you love it, you know. But if you haven't seen it in many years or you've never seen it, take a good look at it and see what this character is. This is the first meeting, and you know he had to have known at that point who she was
No,
because,
I don't think he did know at that point.
well, even if he didn't, I think he quickly realized, like, I mean, he went to her store and he knew he was opening a bookstore across the street.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that
so he
was.
didn't know she was his pen pal. We'll give him that much. But he quickly figures it out. And yeah, I don't, you know, like I get the fact that he's reluctant to reveal himself because um, when he realizes, oh shit, this is the woman I've been corresponding with, which I think that was at one of the meetings that they set up. He sees her and he realizes, oh, that's who that is, and she hates me. And so, but he presents in this scene right here. He presents himself as a different person. He gets the kids, his nieces and nephew, I believe they are.
No, no,
Um,
his aunt and brother.
yeah, yeah. I never really understood who these kids were, but but he has this idyllic day with them, taking them out to a you know a city fair, takes them around. Then he takes them to a bookstore. The very thing that the bookstore or that she had did well. They had a little story time corner, which it looks like he copied in his Barnes and Noble type store later when she came in to visit. A lot of things in the store were very much like her store, except on a big level.
Oh, he completely pillaged her store.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I'm surprised he didn't come in and just say, "Okay, well, I'll buy all your inventory," since he
He
was.
may have, we may not have seen that
Yeah, yeah,
part.
that's true. But like I said, I don't know. It's I could go on about
You,
like,
you could, but let me even go further. The extra
yeah,
layers of creepiness they added.
go for it.
See this scene behind me?
Yeah,
That is Meg Ryan and her live-in significant other, who is not Tom Hanks. It's Greg Kinnear.
right, right.
So Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks' character are having this low-key emotional affair behind their partner's back.
Yeah.
So there's a degree of infidelity to
Well,
this.
yeah, well, both of them are in a relationship. Um, but you know, see, that's one of the things that I find odd. I knew a dude who was married, and he was having and his wife knew about it, but he was corresponding with a chick, and he was saying, "Well, no, it's not sex. It's first of all, it was it was you can't." Do these type of relation because again you are presenting your best foot forward, you're putting your best foot forward, you're the people they spend so much time, and all the real problems of the world that are real couples and a real relationship have to deal with on a daily basis. They don't, you know, the when you're emailing somebody or writing somebody a letter, the person's not seeing you laying in bed with a bowl of cereal on your belly and farting, you know, at 2 a.m. in the morning when the other person's trying to sleep, or listening to you
Yeah,
snore.
but so let me be counterpoint to that. Let me
Yeah,
defend it because let's face it, I live in Portland, Oregon.
yeah,
I know a number of poly relationships. I
sure,
know a
sure.
number of thruples. You know, you want to do something that's beyond the standard two-person relationship. You're all adults.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
fine. If
I've
two
got
people want to do an online thing,
yeah,
I mean, hopefully they're adult enough and smart enough to know that, yeah, that's not a real in-person
Yeah.
relationship. There are going to be differences.
Yeah, and that's what that's the point though that I'm trying. Yeah, if you're gonna get into the idea of being into more of an open relationship or something like that, fine. If my feeling on anything, and I don't care, my attitude in life is more. I think I kind of describe myself a little bit as I don't want to get into politics, but libertarian because my feeling is live and let live. I don't
Hmm.
care what anybody else does, and so
As
as
long as
far
they're not
as
hurting anyone.
yeah, absolutely. And so as far as relationships, yeah, put your own boundaries on that. That's nothing wrong with that. However, if you're deceitful, if you're deceiving your partner, then I think it's a little more. Uh, that's where starts getting into a hurtful bad, evil thing because, and that is, and unfortunately, with something that develops online, it may seem very, you know, serene and not non-threatening, non-sexual, all that, but give it time because, like I said, and I definitely saw just from my own experiences, people online doing a lot of stuff that they were hiding who they were and
And,
didn't
and,
tell
and
you.
and so look, people do this. People have done this whether on or offline since the beginning of time.
Sure.
I'm not gonna judge. That's not my point. We're
Yeah.
here to talk about movies.
Yeah.
And my point is that the writers did not need to add this level of infidelity
Right.
to the
Right.
story. It like boggles my mind. Like, why did you have them already partnered up?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it did. It made it for a much weirder
It
I
didn't
mean,
add anything to the romance and just made the movie even creepier to
yeah.
me.
Yeah, it did. Um and I also there were so many to me this movie missed on so many levels because one of the things that I found odd was there was a point where she once she knew who he was, he had come to her house when she was sick. He brought her flowers. He was kind yeah, there's a little Starbucks thing going on there too.
Yeah,
But
I'll let you fish, and we've got a
yeah,
whole nother thing to talk
yeah.
about.
Well, I was just gonna say they could have because she kept talking to him about this guy and about her life and what she was gonna do now that the store was closed. And he's kind of like he's giving her kind of like life advice and talk. And there were I don't know, like I said, they seem like they could have just developed. In fact, there was a very sweet moment where he said, but it was also creepy because he had set up a meeting and doesn't tell her. And that would have been the ideal moment for him to until they made the thing like way later in the movie when he finally reveals himself. Instead, he's like it's a series of no shows and just setting her up so that he it was sadistic. He
Oh,
played with her mind.
yes, it was horrible.
Yeah. And that moment in front of her apartment building when he's standing there and he said, I wish you could just like love me. And like I or like the we we could have done this in a different way that I didn't wasn't the person that
This
put
dude is so manipulative.
yeah. And she's feeling emotion that's obviously attracted to him. That was could very well have been the moment or just meet her there with some kind of really beautiful gift or something that to try to make up for all the shit he put her through earlier. But it's not that he was rich, it's not that he was that even that he put her out of business, it's his deceit, his full and utter deceit. And the fact that she
Complete.
bought into it, all I can say is it seemed to me like this relationship would have been one of who had the upper hand, and this one, she would have been just. This one wasn't going to last. I'm sorry for all the people out there that love rom-coms, but talk about Starbucks because that is an element, and that's an
Well,
interesting
okay,
element.
so here we've got this romance
Yeah,
between a woman that runs independent bookstore versus big corporate.
yeah.
That's sort of one of the huge themes here. And I don't know what the message is, but yet there is so much blatant product placement by
Oh
various
yeah,
corporations.
yeah.
Starbucks, AOL.
Oh my God,
Like,
yeah,
and I know there's at least like one or two others I can't think of right now.
yeah. Well, Starbucks was kind of almost a little subtle in how they were like acting like, oh, well, we're not really showing the label. They had the
Look at
cups.
the scene behind
Oh
me.
yeah, oh yeah. No, but I'm talking there. Well, there's a scene when they're in the store and they're kind of like, I kept noticing because it was like, yeah, that's come on, like why don't you just turn it around and actually, you could see Star or another scene you see Bucks and it's like why don't you just show it because that's what you're doing. It's an ad, and product placement is never done. There are people in that work on movie sets and their whole thing is just to cover labels. If they're
Mhm.
not being paid for, if it's not something that is actual actual paid revenue, they will not show the name, and or they certainly won't try to. Like when I pick up a can of Diet Coke and start drinking from it, it's not product placement. It could be, it could be Coca-Cola. Take note, but no, it's not product. But yeah, this was blatant product placement. But you're
I would
right.
go so far as to label this entire movie as propaganda.
Well,
I mean, it puts corporations in such a positive light. Here's this
does it? Does it though? Yeah,
independent bookstore owner that was put out of business and then falls in love with the
right,
guy.
right. Well, yeah, but
They,
I
they're they're not presented as the bad guy here, despite.
yeah, I mean, his whole family kind of looks bad. It's his family seems like they have a history of the grandfather had a relationship that he never really pursued. It was you could tell it was like um, it was his corporate greed that like why he never like really pursued this woman that he really loved and he has all these regrets. Yes, there he is. He's a great actor. He's a
Love this
terrific.
guy.
Yeah, he's been in so many movies. He's just a face that as soon as you see him, you go, oh yeah. No, he's terrific. But he played an old evil, corporate bastard.
I
Um,
don't want to say evil. He was raised the way he was, and I don't think he felt.
sure,
I don't even think he accepted that he was harming others. This was
no,
just the American way.
no. Well, even the father. It turned out the father had all these relationships with Tom Hanks's nanny, which is probably why Tom Hanks is so fucked up. But but the father is like bemoaning his breakup, his latest breakup of his relationship, and they're both living on a boat, and there's that scene where they're both sitting there drinking, and he's talking about, oh yeah, well I was in a relationship with so and so, and he's like, yeah, that was my nanny, and then he brings up another chick, and he was like, yep, that was also my nanny, and so, but he goes, I forgot all about that, but even his character, he was not like all of their roles were just kind of like, well, we're just Richmond and this is business, which it was, but it was also so. Like I said, I don't know. They came from a family of kind of corporate assholes. So so yeah, I mean, I can't say that I agree that they wanted to present the corporate world and what that is as being great. However, because they kind of like really show the dark side by putting this woman had a business and this
No, no,
charming
they
little,
don't really show the dark side. She gets by fine. She becomes a children's author, children's book
yeah,
author. They don't show the other two workers that are probably like going to go on
yeah,
unemployment.
exactly. And they were both people who really depended on and needed the job, and they both state that in the movie. And the other thing is, if she really loved this bookstore as much as she did, I would have relocated. I mean, it's New York, and she obviously had, if she owned the store, I don't know if she owned the building, but whether she was renting, but she could have found another location. If it's stated in the movie that she made 100 grand a year, which back then was decent money, even in New York. Um, but but if she was making that kind of money out of a bookstore, then she could very well have relocated that store into another little charming area of Soho.
Yeah, she could have moved
Um,
just north to Boston. She probably would have been equally well received.
yeah, absolutely. But Boston is a great place for bookstores. Absolutely. I mean, she could have gone to Cambridge. There's so many bookstores, and
Mhm.
it's a place that people just walk and Saturday, Sunday in Boston, especially in the fall. Man, people love bookstores, and there's students. There's just so many wealthier people that are walking around looking for bookstores. It's coffee in a bookstore. Which I think, to tell you the truth, I think what Barnes and Noble has actually kind of developed into. Um, I actually, I don't often go into bookstores. I hate to say that, but I used to. When I was younger, I did, and I'm just too busy with my life. But but
Man,
I
did I take
love.
you into Powell's when you were out here?
No, no.
Oh man, okay. Next time you come out, we got to go to Powell's.
Yeah, yeah. So are you doing a shout? Make it a shout out to Powell's then.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. So Powell's Books, you want to give me a little ad money? I'll promote you.
Yeah,
I'll only choose movies based on books that you sell.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Well, we can definitely do a few more on bookstores. There's actually some really charming. I'm gonna actually pull up for a future movie. There's a Jimmy Stewart movie, and I probably a lot of people know as soon as I say this if they like old movies. There's a real charming movie with him it's set in a bookstore, and I won't go further
Is it the
on that.
one
But
this movie is based on? The
it's a
shop around the
rom
corner?
let me say this, it's much sweeter romance movie.
I,
Um,
I I've heard like one of the bad reviews I heard of You've Got Mail
yeah,
basically talks up the Jimmy Stewart, the
yeah.
shop around the corner, saying this is the one you have to see.
Well,
This is the creepy one.
the shop around the corner. I'm trying to think because there's a number of Jimmy Stewart was in so many sweet
Yep.
romance movies, and I almost think the shop around the corner was just a little boutique that sold items, but he's been in more than one,
No, he's been in
really.
tons.
The Jimmy Stewart movies, if you want to see a really sweet romance, I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. That's a sweet romance movie, but but yeah, those I think were really done well. And I've got a movie for New Year's that I'm going to make sure we do, and that is probably when you talk about a rom-com. I don't know whether Lisa, your wife Lisa, is familiar with it, but I'm going to make sure you got to make sure that she's watching that one because it's probably one of the there's some bittersweet stuff in it, but it has a wonderful ending, and it's a perfect one for New Year's. So so we got to do that one for a New Year's movie.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got some weeks left.
Well, I was so disappointed with this one, and it's not the movie that I wanted it to be. So that's that. I think that's my biggest fault with this is that creepy rather than romantic.
I gotta say, I'm actually glad we are on the exact same page because,
Well,
like I said, I am watching this next to Lisa, and I'm like, I am horrified. I'm like, oh my God.
okay, so what did Lisa think of the movie?
She agreed with me.
Yeah, yeah,
She did not. She thought it was a little sweeter than I did. She saw the rom-com element,
yeah, I did
which
too.
which I was so horrified. I don't know that I did.
Yeah, I did. I thought there was they had moments. This was a movie that of moments. There are moments where you truly he's actually starting to creep me out right just throwing him up there. But but no, it's not that there weren't moments in this that I found heartwarming, sweet. There are moments where Tom Hanks is wonderfully effective as and some of the expressions, some of what he conveys in certain scenes. When he's good in this movie, he's really good. The problem is his character has severe, in my opinion, severe character problems. And even the scene, which I believe this is the scene where he saves her at the store, she only has, or if it's not that, it's definitely yeah, it's this. She's in a cash only line, which isn't that a rare thing these days. Uh, but
No,
she's in a
not in Portland.
really, yeah, because
Yeah,
I was gonna,
there are places that are so I almost want to say punk and counterculture
yeah,
that they refuse to take cards.
yeah. And nowadays, I'm more inclined to believe what you're gonna see is not credit card only lines. And so, like I said, for that, I would be more surprised that you're. It's like no, we don't take cash in this line. But then you're in Portland and I'm on the East Coast, and there is a difference. But but um, but even this scene here, this scene here, um, also seems to me to show his creepiness
Oh,
because
totally.
he manipulates this woman behind the woman does not like Meg Ryan. I mean, it could have been just a catty thing, but um,
Okay, she just could have had a hard day.
yeah. Okay, before let's talk about the elephant in the room. Who is this guy behind me
So
behind you?
this guy
Because he's making me laugh. He's
is Elwood Edwards.
okay. Hey, Elwood, let's big shout.
Re
Yeah, go ahead.
recently died,
Oh,
recently
okay.
passed at the age
All
of
right.
74, I believe.
I'm sorry, Elwood.
This is the guy that voiced You've Got Mail for AOL.
Okay. Oh, okay.
This guy
So he,
is a huge part of basically pop culture. He like his comments have been referenced on The Simpsons, on so many different shows. Him saying "You've got mail"
yeah.
is it's the line is so iconic that his death is one of the things that made me think about this movie.
Okay. Yeah, uh I feel bad laughing, but he still makes me being creepy.
Well, I mean, it sounds like he had a great life. He was
Sure.
the whole thing for AOL. He got paid $200 for.
Wow. Wow.
He said four lines, one of which being "You've got mail." He did the whole AOL goodbye,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and I can't remember what the other lines he did, but I don't know if he realized just how immortal he was going to become
Oh, yeah. It's
through
it's
that act.
still it's still, I mean, there's people that put those sounds on their phone. I mean, it's popped up everywhere. It's in culture. So yeah, he's definitely an iconic figure in pop culture nowadays. I mean, you could throw that out there as a trivia question and everyone's going to get it because it's like no, everyone knows that. I think even a lot of younger people would get that. So if not, a quick explanation would would ensue. But no, I feel bad that this movie wasn't a better film. It's because to me it could have been. There was so many missed opportunities in this movie where they could have had Tom Hanks come out of that closet and say, "This is who I am," and I mean, I was waiting early on in the movie. I was waiting for Tom Hanks to do something sweet and nice and not put her out of business, but do something that he could have easily done, like say to his old man, "We're not going to put the store there. I know we've been going ahead with the plans. We're going to lose money on this one, but I'm,
They could
I'm
have bought it. They could have made it a subsidiary.
yeah." There's so many things they could have done, um, and I felt like she was still like fairly directionless, even when, and I felt like the very fact that she was going to fall into a relationship with him, she was probably not even going to, maybe she was going to write, I don't know. But I felt like she just get caught up in his money world. And I don't know, maybe she would have written or maybe not. But now his girlfriend, that's another thing that I early on when I was watching this, I thought to myself, there's a scene where her and Greg Kinnear um, they have this meet. Oh, she immediately recognizes him, admires him, and instead of having that turn, that would have been the better thing, is if her and him ended up starting a
Yeah,
relationship.
I gotta say, if they had totally shifted direction, so the focus on Meg Ryan completely shifted into a relationship
Yeah,
between Kinnear and Posey.
yeah, that would to me was a missed opportunity right there because I thought they had a real connection in that scene, and then it turns out he ends up pursuing some woman on a talk show,
That
and I
interviewed him, yeah.
and that was like a almost like a little scene that was like a passing scene. And then he tells her like, "Yeah, I'm in love with this chick," and which I think she kind of could see that he was kind of, and they tried to play that up that okay, well they're not really, neither one of the couples were really committed or like really into each other. They were just kind of in the relationship.
Mhm.
So you get that, but at the same time, it's almost like they add that after the fact and say, oh yeah, well, see, they're not really into each other. They're really into just being in a relationship. So now there's true love developing. And it's like, I don't know. Like I said, I saw so many missed opportunities with this movie for plot line. If I had done this movie, and I'm not a filmmaker, but if I had done this movie, I would have done it differently. And I would have made Tom Hanks have some kind of an epiphany where he like, yes, I love this woman, and did some kind of a big reveal and do it in a really romantic way, a sweet way.
I also did some sort of sacrifice, like met her halfway. She is
Yeah.
losing her business.
Instead, he crushes her. And not only does he crush her, but then he plays with her and he plays with her mentally. It's sick and it's sadistic. And I'm sorry if you're somebody that loves this movie, go ahead, give me a give us a dislike on this one. Um, I hope we get thumbs up for talking about this, but I don't know, dude. I think I've said pretty much
No,
all I can.
I think we're both on the same page.
Yeah,
We've all said what we feel about this. I may have felt differently had I seen this
yeah,
25 years
yeah,
ago
yeah,
when I didn't know what I know now.
yeah, yeah,
But knowing what I know now and hearing the stories I've heard, this is
yeah.
horrifying.
It is, it is, and Tom Hanks, who in some scenes there's such promise to this. I didn't feel like this was Meg Ryan's greatest role at all. I felt she was a weak sister in this. I don't think she was a strong character at all. She came off as being weak. And
Well, also it was just so sugary, sweet.
yes, yeah, and she was playing that, like, like I said, the scene where she's sick and she seems like she's high on cough medicine, like good cough medicine, with some codeine in it. But I mean, she's like out of her gourd. She's when she's talking, half the stuff she's saying. We watch that scene if you want to. I mean, she's like, what did she take? Is she like drinking? It's like she was mixing pills and booze. But the long and the short of it is, yeah, I thought she came off kind of weak in this. She had her moments. Um, Parker Posey was great. Tom Hanks is wonderful in certain scenes, but you cannot shake the creepy,
Yeah.
and so it loses me. And that's my. I'm going to have to say, I hate to say this on this
Don't
movie.
hate to say it.
I'm actually giving it a thumbs down for a rom com. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if someone's looking for a simple rom com and they don't want to read into what we're reading into it, you might really love this movie.
But you
But
also might want to check out Sleepless in Seattle.
well, I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't either. I hope like
Yeah.
I hope I don't watch it and I'm just as horrified.
Well, if I'm going to recommend a sweet romantic one with Meg Ryan, I would say When Harry Met Sally is and we need to do that one, and we should do that one.
I'm determined to choose that sometime next year.
Well, that's a New Year's movie. We should probably maybe think of that and the other one that I'm not going to reveal right now, but my favorite. If my niece Alicia was watching, she would know immediately what I'm talking about. My favorite New Year's one. Um, so, but I think that is also a very sweet romantic um, uh, rom com. So I think we probably maybe should do both of those for around New Year's, but we'll save
But
them.
anyway, I think we've said
Yeah,
as much as we should say about
yeah.
this one. And I have to ask then, are you going to reveal your next pick?
Um, Actually, I am, and I'm like, I feel like you picked a clunker,
I
and
did.
after the pain that I put a lot of people through with Sasquatch Sunset last week, I'm going to put people through more pain next week
More.
for a yeah for a for a Thanksgiving, a wonderful Thanksgiving movie, that was recommended by a good buddy, Boz, and this is one of his favorite Thanksgiving movies, and it's called Thanksgiving. So anybody that hasn't seen it, you owe it to yourself. I don't know offhand where I own a copy on Vudu, but if you are looking for it, it's probably available to stream in a lot of
I'm
places.
willing to bet it's on Tubi. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. It's there, and actually it spawned a lot of sequels, but it's it's a lot of I can't say too much about it other than you kind of know from the title that you're going to have a lot of mayhem and madness. It's a wonderful Thanksgiving movie. So all I can say is, Dom, I will see you next week, and we will talk about that. It's going to
We'll
be
talk
around.
about I have not seen Thanksgiving yet, so this
Okay.
will be an
All right.
experience.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what Lisa's going to think of it, but
Oh, she's already said I'm not watching it.
yeah, well, she probably shouldn't, but I don't need her sending a sending me a why did you make us watch this message. So, but okay, so let's wrap it up, Dom, and I will see you next week. And I'm interested, hoping some people leave a few comments on our take on this one. Um,
Now that we've destroyed a beloved
I
classic,
know, I know. There's going to be people that are going to probably be angry about what we have to say about
we
it,
got to
but
be honest.
I stand by my
Yeah.
opinion, and I think everything you said about it was correct. So, all right, we'll see you guys next week. enjoy your holiday, and we'll be coming around holiday for the next one. But happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and Dom, see you next week.
I'll see you next week, man.
Take care.